Did that just start?
It started. Hi, guys. Welcome to Beyond the Finish Line. This is episode 12. You're talking with Matt and Georgia. How you going, Matt?
Good, mate. Yourself. It threw me off because the little clock down the bottom just didn't tick over, but the clock up the top started. And I was like, is this working or did it freeze?
Seriously, what are we even doing? I just said to Matt off mic, I was like, all right, Matt, I stuffed up last week's. I feel like you should do the intro. And then he just stares at the camera and
Well,
says nothing.
it still says zero on my side, but then the clock up the top is ticking over. So I'm like, it really threw me off.
It threw him off. That's okay.
The power of editing, the people never know this happened. They'll just hear us awkwardly talking about something that they didn't experience.
Yes, well, that's true. That's true. It's funny on our end.
Yeah. And
Uh,
isn't it funny? Like, as soon as we become a top 1% podcast, yes, that's what we're going to say every single episode from now on, that we've had our two worst intros ever.
yeah, well, we're only human. We can't always be perfect.
Yeah, I know. That's why
But
we're top
hey,
1%.
there's a positive to this is that my mic and my camera worked straight away. There's been no tech
It's only
issues on my
taken
end.
3 months and George has worked out how to do the podcast.
Well, in all fairness, Matt gets a preview before I get to log in. So I've just got to hope that it works the minute he says hello.
Mine does.
I know. Well, you get to set yours up. But anyway, it is working and that is all that matters. There's no disco lights in here. The screen is good. The camera's good. Microphone seems to be pretty good. So I'm happy.
I think, yeah, we got a system now.
We've got a system. We've got a system. Speaking of systems, tell me about your highs and lows of your training week.
That was an awful segue, Georgia. I
You're
feel like
so mean to me.
this is like Mean Girls, and they're like, you're trying to make fetch happen.
Oh,
Like, make the highs and lows happen.
it is happening because we both have highs and lows this week, Matt, and he doesn't make it easy for me to segue into this conversation, nor does he make it easy to me for be like, are you going to ask me what my highs and lows are? Or are we just going to talk about you, Matt? And every single week, I'm sure you guys have noticed, Matt just lets me sit here looking at him like, hello.
Georgia hates dead air and uncomfortable silences, while I'm very comfortable in that moment. So I'm just happy just to sit here and stare at her until she cracks.
Do you know what it is? I'm thinking about all the people listening and they're like, is something going to happen or are we all just going to sit here awkwardly? I can't cope and it really stresses me out and I go
Oh,
bright red. I'm wearing a bright pink t-shirt like singlet right now and I feel like I'm the same color as
yeah,
him.
you match, yeah. Kind of like an Oompa
Oh,
Loompa.
oh, thank you, Matt. He's
No
like the
worries,
big
mate.
brother I never wanted. Like just absolutely slamming me. I have three big brothers. I do not need another one absolutely slamming me every week. Please, dear God, tell the listeners, how was your week?
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, a bit of an up and down week for me at the moment. I'm still kind of in limbo. Did we talk about my calf last week?
we did, but I think
Yeah.
you talked about how you went down for the try and you couldn't do the run portion, but
Yeah, that's right.
you hadn't really got many results back on what's going on and whether or not you could do Port Macquarie.
Yeah, so as of this recording, it's tomorrow, but when you guys hear it, I would have I will know the results, but um pretty much I've just been in limbo, which you guys probably worked out by now isn't great for me because I'm normally a pretty decisive character. So sort of sitting around in this grey area is tough. Like training kind of
Yeah.
feels irrelevant because I don't really know what I'm training for. Um, there's two very different modalities to be in right now. Like if I'm racing Ironman Australia in 5 weeks, I'm getting ready to peak and I should be in my most animalistic kind of phase in terms of like I'm
Yeah.
just hungry to get after it and just want to rip all the training apart. And then on the other side, if I'm doing Ironman Cairns, I'm 11 weeks out and that's like still a very relatively chill part of training. And then if I'm doing Ironman Western Australia, if I don't get into Cairns, Ironman Western Australia is until December. So
You're really in limbo then.
yeah, then I'm not doing any real training until September, which is just that's the worst case scenario. So um just trying to keep everything ticking over, just trying to do everything I can to stay fit and healthy and do my rehab. But until tomorrow, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And so you just said that you might not get into Cairns. Is that because it's sold out, or what's going on there?
Uh, no, because it's a deferral process, and Ironman have to approve it.
Oh, okay.
Um, I mean, theoretically, I could just buy another registration, but they're $1,300, and I don't
No.
really want to just. I'm not chucking thousands of dollars around just for the sake of it.
No,
Um,
it's crazy how expensive Iron Man is. I had no idea that it can be that expensive. Are all
yeah,
Iron Mans the same price, or different cities are different prices?
no, full Ironman, like they have like a tiered system. Like, yeah, I think if you register like day one, it's like a
Yeah.
thousand bucks, and then 13 or $1,400 is the most expensive.
Okay.
Um, But when you, like, I always thought it was super expensive too. But when you actually go to an event and you see all the roads that they have to shut down, all the safety workers, like
Yeah.
the amount of just the monumental size of the event is just like, I understand. Don't get me wrong, Iron Man's making a good profit, but you do understand like just how much goes into it. So it is
Yeah, for
expensive,
sure.
but that's the sport.
Yeah, I mean, how many? It's some people are racing what six? What's probably like the longest someone would do an Ironman in? What's the cutoff hour wise?
It's like 18 hours. They've got to be done by midnight.
Okay,
So
so I mean,
16 to 18 hours, depending on sunrise.
yeah, I mean, look, marathons they say can be up to 7 hours depending on what the cutoff is.
Hmm.
Yours is 18 hours of people needing to be making sure people are right. The aid stations are getting
Yep.
refilled. Like I can totally understand that. That makes sense.
Detours for cars, like, they shut down main roads and they've got to, like, like guys who've got to get to work, they're sending them different ways for
Yeah,
traffic, like all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah,
yeah. Um, so, yeah, and just in this limbo phase. And by the time you guys hear this, I would know. But right now, it's just been essentially 10 days or actually 14 days, 14 days tomorrow of not knowing. So, anyway, I actually literally just said on my Instagram stories before this, I was like, I almost wish the injury was worse to give me a reason to
yeah.
like if it was a month of no running, but cool, no worries, we're going to Cairns or we're going to WA, like decision
There's
made.
no
This
choice.
is
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is like, there's just that flicker of hope, which is, which is a disaster.
So, and tomorrow is you're finding out from like a physio or someone
Yeah,
who's like
do
who's
another,
telling you.
another. Yeah, I've got a physio that I work with, Jared, Pure Movement Performance. He'll do another set of scans and shockwave
Okay.
therapy and everything on me.
And then
Um,
that'll determine whether or not you can run.
I'm going back to running this week, no matter what. It is the level of running that I can go back to.
Do
So,
do you feel
yeah,
though like you almost want to just defer so that you can give it 110%? Because I feel like at this
that's
point you're not really you're still a little bit
that's
injured. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at mentally. Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of like 70, 80% checked out, which is a new experience for me. Like I've never gone through this. I've never gone through. I've been injured, obviously, but I've never gone through being mentally checked out of a race. And um, yeah, but it comes like if Iron Man say like no, you can't defer, well then
You've got no choice, of course.
I'm getting on. Yeah, got to get on the start line. So
I just,
um,
yeah, I just feel
yeah,
like your sub 10 goal is such a big goal. Not that it's not
Mm.
achievable or anything, but it's a big goal for you. And I mean, to not be 110% all in, all guns blazing.
yeah, it's
Uh,
tough, especially being a wanting want to have that strong run. Like I want to run that 3:30 off the bike.
yeah,
Um, I essentially haven't run for 2 weeks, and then I got 5 weeks to the race. So in 4 weeks, I've got to go from zero to running 42.2 kilometers at a sub 5 minute pace after riding 180 Ks. It's tough. Like it's a tall order.
it is a bit,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm probably 70, 80% mentally and physically. Like I want to go to Cairns mostly for that reason. Like I want to get on the start line and know I'm 100% committed to this and like
Yeah.
I've done the work. Right now, I feel like if I got on the start line at Port, and a lot can change in 5 weeks, but I feel if I got on the start line at Port, there would be self doubt. And when you're alone for 10 hours, like exercising, that little flicker of self-doubt just gets bigger and bigger and bigger the
Mm.
more tired you get. And everyone who's done a marathon will know, like, if you're chasing a time or like, oh, missed that training session or that week went away or whatever, all those little fears play on the back of your mind and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger the longer the race goes on. So, yeah, tough position to be in, but, like we sort of said before we went on air, is what it is. Like, you can either complain about it or you just make peace with it and get back to work. So,
Yeah, for sure. We can't
yeah.
change the outcome. Just wait and see.
Yeah, that's it. I'm been really thinking about, like, is it a helpful thought? So I'm like, is it a helpful thought to think I'm going to get on the start line at Port and not be 100%? No. Okay, so just don't worry about it. Is it a helpful thought that I haven't done my usual 60, 70, 80 kilometers a week of running volume? No, it isn't. What is a helpful thought is, how can I best compensate for not getting that volume in? So just trying to, like, really dial in my thought process around what I can control.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's tough. I'm sorry you're in that position. That sucks.
Oh, you're in the same one, mate. Like, with London, like,
Yeah,
granted, like, we didn't have a performance goal with London, but, like, it was still
yeah,
touch and go whether you were even going to be able to do it.
yeah. That is very true. I was thinking that when you were talking about that before, I was like, I can't imagine what it would be like if I was really in that position where it was just, I mean, I was a couple of weeks ago when we weren't sure if it was a stress fracture, but
Mm.
I don't know. Even then, I feel like I probably would have still run it. I don't
I
think
think you would have
I,
made it about 10 Ks and then probably
yeah,
not any
probably.
further.
I probably would have DNF'd, to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't, it's a funny one. Races, you don't realize how big a part of your life they become. But
Mm.
um, yeah, and I think just because I don't know what the future holds for me, that I'm just like, this could be the only time I ever get to run London. Like,
For
it's very
sure.
hard to get in. It is very hard to get in, and I'm very aware of how lucky I am and the fortunate position I'm in to be able to even run it. So that's why I'm really not taking it for granted.
Yeah. And then you add things like just international travel, like getting the time
Yeah.
off to travel to the other side of the world to run a race. Like, for the majority of people in jobs, like, that's just not even a realistic
Oh,
conversation to have with your boss. Like,
no, not at all. I mean, just I'm so grateful I'm even getting this time off for my honeymoon. It's we're a
mm,
very small business, so it's very hard to be like, I'm going to take a month off. But yeah, just even the cost of flights to get to the UK is crazy. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm very grateful that I'm running. We're gonna yeah, just take it easy. But
And how was your week, Georgia?
oh, thank you, man. Oh my gosh, I didn't think you'd ask. Uh, I've had a great week. I'm feeling really good. Mentally, I started running. I went for a run on Sunday. I was really good. I took the week. I was really chill. I had my run on Sunday. I can't remember if I ran before that. But anyway, it was really good. No pain, which is crazy considering I've had 2 months of just pain every single run. But the runs are kind of funny. You go out and you're like, is this pain or is it in my head? Like, am I just
Mm.
making up this pain? But so I think it's pretty good so far. I actually think it's a different part of my leg that's annoying me, which is fine. I see the physio tomorrow. And then, yeah, but poor old Nico, my husband, had a bit of a injury at, well, not a bit of, he did a grade 1/2 tear on his hamstring at football the other night,
Footy training, yeah.
which absolutely scared the shit out of me. He just called me. It was like Tuesday night. He usually calls me on his way home, and I could just tell something was wrong. Like, you know, when your heart just sinks when someone calls
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
you just know. And I was like, okay, my head went, he's had a car accident, something bad's happened. Like, what the fuck? And my heart is beating, and he's like, I think I've torn my hamstring. And I was just like, oh my God, you're fucking kidding. Like, I'm just started running again, and you've been absolutely killing your training. And then he's done that. So, but it seems to be okay. He went to the physio. It's just all injuries in this household. So he's just going to rest it for 4 weeks and just run London. So we'll both be
Yeah.
hobbling.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I wouldn't be. Grade one's like, he'll be fine in 4 weeks.
yeah,
So,
totally. His
yeah.
hamstrings have always been a bit crap. He's done MCLs, ACLs, all of the things. So I said to him, I was like, what's the pain out of 10? And he was like, oh, it's like a 5. And I was like, okay, that's fine. we can deal with that. We've had 10 out of 10 pain, so we can deal with this. But yeah, that was kind of the low of the week, but the high was definitely getting back out running. That was so nice. Went for a run just before we recorded this, and it was in the rain, and I was like, oh, love alive, soaking wet. Do you like running in the rain?
I think we spoke about this the other week.
Do we?
I like, yeah, we did, because I like running in the rain if it starts raining like halfway through.
Yeah, I'm like that.
If it's rain, if like I looked out the door right now and I was pissing down with rain, I had to go for a run, I'd be like, not a chance.
Yeah, because you had said to me in my program, you were like, if you're sore, don't run today, run Tuesday. But then I was like, but I want to go to the gym on Tuesday. So this afternoon, I gave myself a sleep in. And then this afternoon, I was going for my run. And I was like, you know what? If I don't run now, I got to miss the gym. So I had to go. So it was the first time I've properly started a run in the rain. Like just, it was raining. I was like, well, off I go. But it was actually kind of nice. There's no one in the park, you know, get those songs in your head that are a bit like a movie, you know? No, you wouldn't know that. You're not a girl. The girls will know what I mean.
Not last time I checked, anyway.
The girls will totally know what I mean. It's like oh, I can't remember the girl who sings Unwritten. You wouldn't know. Natalie Bassett. No, it's not her. Anyway, whatever. It's a bit like that. Us girls, we like to go out and we've got a song playing in our head and we're just like really feeling the moment.
Okay.
Matt's so uncomfortable right now.
I'm just like, you might as well be speaking fucking Spanish, mate. Like, I don't even know what's going on.
Oh, anyway, that was my week.
Fantastic.
He's going to not say anything again. This is horrible. He's horrible. Okay.
Sure.
I asked you guys on our Instagram if you had any questions. That was me asking you any questions for me, because how many episodes ago was that? It's probably 4 episodes ago.
Yeah, 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, we did a question box if anyone had any questions for Coach Matt. Still trying to make that one work, but don't know if that's going to happen.
That's taken off. Everyone now calls me Coach Matt in like our athlete group chat.
Yes.
That's you've made fetch work on that one.
I've made fetch happen on that.
Yep.
So we asked Coach Matt, and Matt answered all of your questions. And I still get lots of DMs about questions and things like that. So I thought, why not just put a box out? You guys can ask some questions, and I'll answer them on here. Saves a bit of time and puts it all in one place. I love it. So I've given the list to Matt, and he's going to ask me. There's quite a few questions, so I don't know which ones he's going to ask.
Do you want to go through all of them, or?
I don't know.
There's definitely some niche ones here that I cannot help with, guys. I just want to make that clear.
That's good. That's what we want. We want some that you definitely can't help with. Real niche. You know, you just choose whatever you like and I'll answer them as we go. We'll see how we go.
Okay. This is from KJ. How do you get back into training after time off, e.g. sick or injury?
Oh, perfect timing. As I have literally just getting back into training after, well, I've had on and off probably 2 months off, I think. There was 2 weeks in between that close. I went full back into training, and then it got worse, so we dropped back off again. I don't know. Look, it's a bit tricky at the moment. I'm pretty motivated because I've got London. I think that's a different, I know we always talk about motivation versus discipline, but at the moment I'm excited, I'm motivated, I'm all of those things. So getting back into training has been really exciting for me. But in saying that, I do know what it is like after you've had like a cold or a niggle or something like that where you've got to get back into training. I think the most important thing is to just give yourself some grace and know that you're probably not going to be exactly where you were when you stopped training. I really felt it today on my run. I was thinking about that as I was out and I was running. My heart rate was so high and it felt like I was running faster than I was. And I was like, God, I've just lost so much fitness in 2 months. And I felt it at the gym yesterday. I've lost so much muscle. So I think just giving yourself that little bit of a break and just not being too hard on yourself is kind of the only thing I can really suggest. But Matt might be able to give a bit more of a coach's perspective on this one.
Yeah, and you actually, that was a good segue, George, because you actually said exactly what I want to hit on. Is
good.
The
You've trained me well.
the majority of people think that they've lost fitness when they've actually lost conditioning.
Yeah.
And the two are quite different. So like you don't really lose cardiovascular fitness until like 14 days roughly, and even then the rate of decline is quite slow. So having 2 months off, yes, you would have lost some fitness, not a lot, but some. But
Yeah.
people, if they've had a cold for 1 or 2 weeks, or rolled an ankle and they've had a week off, the chances of them losing fitness is almost zero.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So what they've lost is a bit of conditioning, which is just your muscles' ability to handle workload. And I can't remember exactly what the rate is, but it basically comes back twice as fast. So if it took you 3 months to build up to a workload and then you had 2 weeks off, it would then come back in 6 weeks. It would come back in 4 weeks. It'd come back in 2 weeks. Like it would just get quicker and quicker and quicker. That's why like really, really experienced runners or athletes of any discipline can have a month off and then they come back to training 4 or 6 weeks later. They're just crushing it because it just comes back like that.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think I think just before I had my scan, when I came back a little bit, I had a really good run, and
yep,
that my body probably just needed a rest. So it
yep.
can be a little bit like that. But that's a really good point in that you're losing conditioning, not fitness. And I think that's what a lot of people get stuck on is that they're like, oh my gosh, I've lost so much fitness. I'm so unfit now, when really it's not actually that.
Yeah, and even if you do lose some fitness, it comes back so quickly. You've just got to once your conditioning comes back, which again, like I said, will only take a couple of weeks, the fitness will come back almost instantaneously. So any like fitness that you did lose it's going to be so minor that like it'll just come back. So don't stress over it. It's all in your head. Yes, your heart rate will be high. Yes, it'll feel really awkward. Yes, it'll feel like you're like Bambi on ice, like you don't know what you're doing. But give it a week, give it 2 weeks. Get I always try and encourage my guys to get one really, really good hard session in that 2 weeks, relatively hard. So when it like hard for where you're at currently.
Yeah.
And I find when they get that hard session, it really like just clicks them back into gear, and they're like, oh no, I can do this. And then it really
Yeah. It's
catapults them.
almost kind of like you just got to rip the band-aid off, do the really hard
Exactly
thing,
that.
and you're kind of like, oh, it's actually not so bad. And that was
Yep.
like me.
Couple of easy runs just to get your legs under you. Go
Yeah.
do like a interval session or a threshold session or something, and then you'll be like, yeah, band-aid's ripped. We're good to go.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I
Yeah.
love that. That was like, yeah, that week I had off and then I went back and I smashed an interval session. I felt so good after. I was like, oh, okay, I haven't lost that much conditioning. So yeah, but hopefully that helps. Maybe if it helps you get back into running and stuff after you've been sick, plan a race or book a run in with a friend or join a run club. That could be a good way to get back into things.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Emily says or asks, what headphones do you use?
Oh, I saw this one today actually. I use the Shox Open Run Pro 2s. So Shox are I would say the leading running headphone. Would you agree? I see everyone with them.
I think the
Maybe in
ones that I've got
Sydney.
yeah, maybe like the ones that hook over your ears are pretty like I mean there's a whole heap of different brands that basically make the same
What
ones, but
what are those ones? What do you wear?
these are like JBL. They're cheap ones because I sweat so much. Like I only get like 6 months out of them, and they're buggered. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh, well, the Shox ones, I see everyone. Maybe it's a Sydney thing. Everyone here
they're
uses
definitely super
Shox.
popular. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even like I see people who aren't running wearing them, because they're
cyclists super popular with cyclists.
yeah, they're that bone conducting kind of
Yeah,
headphones. So they're open ear. They're really safe. The best example was I was out on a long run and the light went green for me to cross the road, like the pedestrian light went green. And just as I was about to cross, I could hear this taxi coming who completely ran a red light. And if I had proper earphones on, I would have been hit by the car. But you can still hear really well. So they're super safe. Yeah, I think especially for women, it's really important if you're running at dawn or dusk to either not wear earphones or wear ones that are open ear. So the Shox ones are really good.
have you used the swimming ones of the Shocks yet?
No, I was talking to someone about this the other day and I could have sworn mine were the ones I have worked in the pool, but I don't want to try it. I'm too scared. But
Yeah,
there
I thought
is,
yours did too.
I need to look it up. But I was on their website today and I meant to look it up. But yeah, they look really cool. It's kind of like those pools that have speakers in them. Have you been in
Hmm.
one of those?
I've seen them. I haven't been in one yet, but I know what you're
Oh,
talking about.
it is so weird, but it's the same kind of feeling when you wear the bone conducting ones. It's kind of like I can't hear, but I can hear really well.
Yeah, I've I want to find out about them because like I've heard that they don't connect like viably. Like you can't just play like Spotify, for example. Like you've got to like download
Songs onto
of an
them.
MP3 track to it. Yeah. So
Oh,
like if you want to listen to a podcast or something, you've got to download it on. So if I have to do that, that's a deal breaker. But if I can Bluetooth my phone, then I'm into it.
yeah, I don't know. That would be really weird. I don't know why someone, I guess maybe because it can't Bluetooth that far as you're swimming the lap.
Yeah. Or maybe the water fucks with it. I don't know. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Very good. All right, what else you got for me?
Poe asks, how do you edit your videos so quick? I need tips, bruh. She didn't say bruh. I said bruh, but she said I need tips.
Poe was actually in our DMs the other day roasting me for having smooth peanut butter. She was saying,
Fine. Common sense prevailed. Thank you to everyone who voted.
so shout
I'm
out to you,
I'm
Poe.
I'm actually disappointed how close the voting was. However, I'm glad that common sense and adults listen to this podcast. Thank you.
Guys, it was like 5 votes difference, and Matt really thought it was this big thing.
No, I just care about winning. I care about results. And the result was Crunchy Peanut Butter won because we're adults on this podcast. And
It
Georgia.
did. Anyway, Poe suggested this smooth and crunchy peanut butter,
Well,
and
I
I'm going
didn't
to give
like
it a
that. I was
go.
just like, what are we talking about? Like, it's either smooth or crunchy. It can't be smooth and crunchy.
It's less crunchy. It's like minimal crunch. Sorry. Anyway, how do I edit my videos so fast? Do you know what? It's so funny. I have had people say this to me. I actually do this for a full-time job. So, I'm probably not as fast as some people are, but I edit videos all day, every day. So I'm pretty used to it now. And it just, I guess my style of editing that I do is just what
It
I
was
do.
pretty minimal.
Yeah, it's not like I'm adding in all these crazy overlays and text and transitions and things like that. It's just not me. I've tried that before and it didn't work. So I just do it right on the spot. As soon as I've finished a run and I kind of either do it just before I have a shower or I'll do it if I'm on the bus going to work. Or if it's an evening thing, I'll just sit on the couch and do it, just dedicate a bit of time. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of prioritize it, I guess. Uh, as I said, I do it
It's
for
like
work.
anything. The more you practice it, the quicker you get.
Yeah, like if you actually watch me sitting and doing it, I'm pretty quick at like cutting up clips and, moving things around and stuff like that. I don't use the TikTok editor. So, I mean, that's probably a bit quicker because that is so slow. But
Do you use CapCut or?
yeah, I think that was another question was what kind of editing what app do I use? Was that a question? We can kill that one now too.
You keep talking, I'm reading the questions.
That's okay. Someone asked, I apologize if I've forgotten what your name was, but asked what app that I use to edit my
Oh, yeah.
videos. And I use CapCut Pro. It burned my existence to have to pay for that. But to be honest, it is pretty crap without the Pro. The ads were killing me. You can't use half the text. Like, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I can claim it on tax, so as a subscription, so it's fine. But yeah, CapCut Pro is pretty good. As I said, the TikTok or the Instagram editor is absolutely crap. I would not recommend using that at all. But yeah, CapCut, you can do pretty much everything. Overlays, you can add in music, you can do better transitions, you can fade in your music a lot better. I'm probably not. I just can't be bothered using the one on desktop, the Adobe. Is it Premiere? It's not for me.
Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, like I think that's for if you're doing YouTube and stuff, I totally understand it. But I mean, for TikTok, I could edit a video and it gets 1,000 views. So I'm like, why would I waste time?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a,
yeah.
I'm a bit lazy like that. So yeah, just kind of get it up, I think. The less you
I
think
think
about it, the better.
I think that's something interesting about social media is like like you said, you could put something in with absolute minimal effort and it could get a million views, and then you can do all the editing in the world, spend hours on it, and it gets 100 views. Like
Oh,
you're better off just pumping it out, just fire it out.
yeah. The thing with social media is just consistency. And so if you're doing your kind of style of video, and you've got to kind of find your own style, because otherwise it's going to be a pain to edit. If you're trying to edit stuff to someone else's style, um, it's not enjoyable to edit because you're forcing it. Whereas for me, I just
Yeah,
do what comes naturally, things that just are really authentic to me, and it's just so much quicker to get out there. And then I'm not thinking about it too much. I'm just putting it out, seeing if it does well. If it doesn't do well, whatever, move on. Next day, post another video. Just post one every day. Don't even think about it.
yeah. I think that's a bit, finding your own style. Like as when I started doing that, stop trying to copy other people, like take inspiration from other people. I was just like, oh, I can just pump it out so much faster.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, it took a while to find my own style that's authentic to me because on
Mm,
socials you can get really cool. There's beautiful girls that I follow from the UK who have really cool editing skills, and they're young, they're like 24, and they do all these really fun, like they're dancing around their bedrooms, dancing around their kitchens, they're getting ready. And I'm like, it's just not me. If I did
yeah.
that, you'd be like, this is really cringe. So just be yourself, and then the editing will come with that, and it'll be so much easier because you're not having to force something.
And I find personally, like when I come up with an idea or for a video or for like a bit of content, I can almost see it in my head straight away. I'm like, oh, this is how I'm going to edit it. Like
Yeah.
even before I've filmed it and know exactly what it looks like, I've got a rough idea of how that video will look. So I
Yeah.
think when you're doing your own style, and it, like George said, does take time, but when you're doing your own style, like half the work's already done before you've started the video.
Oh, totally. I mean, even for our London Marathon video where I was announcing that we got tickets, I had been thinking about that for weeks about how I wanted to do that. And I was like, I'm going to overlay and do all the little clips of me saying London Marathon. And that's like a story. So I could overlay things, I could cut up different clips. It's like if I'm doing an ad for a brand and I love the product and I use it all the time, it's so easy because I can just cut together all these different videos and it's fun and I can overlay. So it comes really naturally. And that was something really fun. But if I was to do that kind of London Marathon video for my regular runs, like, where am I going to pull that kind of storyline from? I'm just going for a run. I can't, that's why I can't do all the edits all the time. That kind of video worked really well because it was a story. I got the tickets, how we got the tickets, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just make sure Sophie was the one who asked about their uh, app, but you don't use anything for like text or voiceovers. You just use CapCut for everything.
Yeah, I use CapCut for like literally everything. I do all my voiceovers in CapCut. I tried to do a TikTok voiceover the other day and it was terrible. So I find the CapCut's a lot quicker in picking up your voice. It's less echoey. I don't even use a mic or anything to record my voiceover. I just do it straight into my phone. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Um, Angie asks, "How did you and Nick meet? And has Nick always run with you? What got you both into running?"
So that's cute. Well, we met nearly 10 years ago, actually. Next month. No, May we met. We met at a friend's 21st. So I knew her from I went to fashion college. So I knew her through college and she used to live with Nick. And so when it was her 21st, it was kind of her friend groups all coming together. And then yeah, I just turned up to a Mexican bar in Bondi and there he was. So yeah, 10 years in May, we've known each other. And I think because it was a mutual friend, it was a lot easier. So it was not like, is this guy a serial killer? Because like those apps, I mean, far out. I don't know how people do it. That freaks me out.
It's the
But
Wild West on those dating apps.
oh my gosh, it really freaks me out. If I'm so grateful I don't have any friends on the apps because honestly, I think that would give me so much anxiety knowing they were out there just meeting strangers. Um, but yeah, that's how Nick and I met. No, he hasn't always run. He did track as well, like athletics, sorry, as a teenager, but he was actually a 100-meter sprinter. So he did a lot of 100-meter, 200-meter sprinting, but long distance running, no. He started doing that around the same time I did, but he motivated me to do it. So yeah, bit of a kind of long story short.
And what got you, the last part of it was what got you both into running?
We got into running during COVID because we couldn't fit enough exercise into an hour running around the park. So if we were, I mean, walking around the park. So we walked the park and you kind of didn't really feel like you achieved too much. So he was just like, oh, I'm seeing all these people running. I'm going to start. Do you want to run with me? And I was a bit like, oh, but yeah, that got us both into running. And then we both did a half marathon, loved it. And then I signed up for the full marathon and he watched me finish it. And then when he saw how much I loved it, then he got into running marathons as well. So this will be his third marathon and this will be my fourth marathon. So I love that I've got one up on him. It's so good.
Don't worry, Nick. I got you, mate. We'll sort it out. Um, do you want to know what I find interesting? And like, I'm just then when you said you guys found it through COVID. Obviously, COVID, horrible thing. People died, all that sort of stuff, all the negative stuff. But there are so many positive stories out of it. Like everyone, not everyone, so many people found a passion, started the side
Oh,
hustle because they were forced to, and like just their lives went on a whole different trajectory. Like imagine COVID never happened and Georgia
oh,
runs a marathon never started.
I know
Like
it is. It's
your life would just be
crazy.
so impossibly different. The Performance Project wouldn't exist. Like this podcast wouldn't exist. So many other people would just be still doing the 9 to 5 wherever they're doing it.
Totally.
Like
It's
it's
so
just
true.
bizarre.
There's so many things in my life. Like, I'd probably still be a nanny.
Hmm.
I found my job just before the second lockdown. I started my role that I'm in now, which is the same time that I started running. So I probably wouldn't have that job. I'd be nannying. What else? Yeah, like Nick and I wouldn't have got into running. I would never have run a marathon. I mean, I started my channel or my page, sorry, when signed up for Sydney Marathon for the first time, and that's where the name came from. Yeah, but so many people have gotten into so many cool things because of COVID. I think it's a nice thing to look at the positive sides of it, but it's crazy to think that was 5 years ago now.
Yeah, and it's bizarre. Like you don't hear many of the negatives about COVID. Like obviously, like taking out the people who got quite sick or died, like remove that part, like the
Yeah, of
ultra
course,
negative.
that's a given.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's obviously
yeah.
very sad.
But like, no, not many people you speak to if they bring up COVID, they're like, mate, I just sat in my fucking house for 6 months and stared at a wall. They're like, no, I went and did this. I started this. I like, dude, it encouraged me to go out and try these different things because I was forced in this very little window to do something.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I think historically, looking back on it for our generation and probably the generation under us, like it almost you could almost argue it's a net positive because of how many people were forced to start different things that they would never have tried.
And improve their lives and
Hmm,
learn skills and all that kind. It is nice to look at the positive side.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Layla asks, when runs get hard, your breathing gets hard, legs fatigue, and see pace slipping. What do you do?
Oh, okay. Um, that's a tricky one. I think it is hard. I find it in both ways. I find that if I'm running too fast, I start to panic. But then if I'm running and I'm really getting fatigued, I start to panic a little bit. But I think that comes from experience that you learn how to control that emotion of I'm really exhausted. I've just hit, say, on a really long run, I've just hit 25 and I've hit a wall and I'm absolutely pooped. I can't keep doing this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I always kind of just I slow it down. Like if I'm seeing my pace slipping, there's a reason. I'm obviously there's something happening. So I usually will slow it down. But I think I just go, okay, I've come this far. Let's just try and push to the next traffic light, or let's just push to the end of this interval, like this set of intervals that, say, Matt has programmed me. Let's just get through this one. Once I've gotten through this one, then we'll get through the next one. And I remember from Gold Coast, I think it was, you had programmed me, maybe it was Sydney, you'd programmed me all of these runs that were like 8Ks on, and then there was like 500 meters off.
Oh yeah,
They were
four
brutal.
by eight k. Yeah,
Yeah, 4
it's a
by
rough one.
8K. They were rough. And there, if this is kind of what you're talking about in this question, there were moments towards the end of those that I really, really struggled, and my legs were hurting. I couldn't breathe properly. I was really panicking that I wasn't going to be able to nail this run. And the best thing Matt ever said to me was just take each block as it comes. So don't think about the 4 8K blocks you've got to do. Think about this one 8K block, get through this 8K block, great, tick it off. Do your 500 meters float, you rest, and then next 8K block, get through that. Great, done that one, and so on. And you do that until you've just pretty much finished. And Nick and I always say to us, like, to each other now when we're doing these kinds of runs together, we're always like, we've just got to get through this block. You get through this block, then you get through the next one. And don't think about what's ahead of you, just think about the set that's in front of you. And while maybe running one long run is really tricky because it's just, I've got to go out and run 21 kilometers, maybe in your head you need to kind of break it up. Run 5Ks, right? I've got through this 5Ks, run through the next 5Ks. So that's kind of how I would take that. How would you get through that, Matt? What do you do?
I'd say it depends on the session. Like, obviously if it is just a zone 2 run, let's just say it's a 20K zone 2 run.
Yeah.
And your pace and everything's starting to fall and legs are starting to hurt. You're probably just not running in zone 2.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's probably just like the easiest way to address it. If it is like something like a marathon specific session and things are starting to fall apart, like you're doing 3 by 10K or 4 by 8K and you're in set 3 and everything's on fire. I do what Georgia does because I told her that, but I break it down even further. I'm just like, all I got to do is get through 1K. We'll get through 1K. If I get through this K, then I can just decide, like, if I'm fucked at the end of this 1K, I stop, rest, and then go again. But then 99.9 times out of 100, finish that 1K. I'm like, cool, another K. Just worry about this 1K that you're in, and then get to kilometer 2, kilometer 3, get to kilometer 8. Cool. Now I get a rest. If I need to, and I'm just very transparent with myself. If I need a 1K float instead of a 500 float, if I need a 2-minute break instead of a 1-minute break, okay, like that's what I need to do to get through the session, but I will not let the quality of the session be compromised. So breaking things down into process goals, very, very important. Making sure that you're executing the workout the way it's intended. So if it is a zone 2 session, make sure you're running zone 2. If it is a interval session, make sure you're hitting those paces and you're taking the necessary rest in between. If it is like a marathon or a tempo session, making sure that you break those long runs down into very, very small achievable goals. And I often find, like, let's just use that 4 by 8K for example. When I get to kilometer 4 of that set, I'm like, oh, I'm over the hump. Like it's only 3Ks to go now, and then like 3, and then 2, and then 1. Oh, I'm done. Like I find that the back 4 in this example would go way, way quicker than the front 4, even though like pace and everything's the same. But that's how I do it anyway.
Yeah, I think just giving yourself, especially in like an interval session, if you can see, I think that's probably the best example of when your pace might really slip because your legs are hurting and you're wanting to give up. But yeah, I think that's so true. Like if you've given me a 500 meter float, instead of me, you might have programmed it to be a 6-minute pace for that float. Sometimes if I'm really cooked, I'll just walk one of them. And I'm like, I'll just walk one. And then the next one, I'm going to try and jog the next break. So I think, just finding ways to keep going without having to, without giving up. Like just don't give up is, I know it's easier said than done, but I think you've just got to train your brain to be like, okay, I've just got to get through the session. What can I do to get through the session?
Yeah. And I just one add on to that is I think a lot of people, especially if they're doing maybe even their first 3 kind of like big endurance events, the head noise is very confronting for them. Like the tricks your mind plays on you when you're 20 kilometers deep into a run, when you're 25 kilometers into a 3 by 10K, like I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, I didn't
Oh,
Am I fueled? Am I glycogen depleted? Like, it's just like your brain will find anything and it will just play on it, like, because your brain wants homeostasis, right? Your brain does not want to do tough things. Your brain's trying to find the easiest way to get you to stop, and it plays tricks on you. So be okay embracing the head noise. Like, sometimes it'll beat you, and that's okay. But the more you do it, and the more you just become at ease with those thoughts, the quicker they go away.
yeah, I could not agree with you more. That's the perfect way to put it. I think just learn to live in that really uncomfortable place where you feel like giving up. Because
Yeah,
the more you stop yourself from giving up, the better you get. And it's taken me,
it's a muscle.
yeah, for sure. It's taken me a long time to get to the point now where I don't give up on a run. And there's been plenty of runs where I'm out there, my legs are hurting, my pace has turned to absolute shit. And I'm like, if I just turn down this road, I can cut 2Ks out of my run and get home quicker. But you almost just get to the road and just push yourself a bit further. You're like, oh, missed it now. Got to keep running.
Yeah, now I've got to finish it. Yeah,
Yeah, now I've got to
but
finish it.
don't you find those workouts where let's keep using that 4x8K for example, and let's just say the last two 8Ks you're off the pace and it wasn't your best session, but you pushed through and you did it to the best of your ability and you truly know it was the best of your ability. It's almost as rewarding as if you went out and just crushed it at pace.
If anything, I
The
feel like,
difference is so minimal.
yeah, I feel like if anything, those sessions are more rewarding, and they're the sessions that build you to be a stronger endurance athlete. And they're the sessions that when you get to 35 kilometers in a marathon, that's when you
They're
go,
the bricks.
they're the bricks. And they're the sessions that you go, you know what? If I made it through that, I can make it through this. And I can do hard things. I can do this. I've crushed this before. I'll crush it again. So
Yeah.
100%. That's like, I call those runs character building runs. They're the runs that
Yeah.
really build you up.
I call them the bank. And and when I'm like deep into an Ironman and I'm like, I think I want to be tired, I'm like, do you remember that session you did on that Sunday where it was pouring rain and you had to run 30 kilometers of hill reps? Remember that session? You did that session for today. So if you got through that, you can fucking do this.
Yeah.
And then I just like, I pull them out of I take withdrawals from the bank when I need it.
I love that. And there's always going to be one session that really sticks out to you and you remember
Yeah,
and you
I
think
find
back.
there's 3 or 4 over the course of like the 12-week prep that
Yeah,
you
a
just
block,
like, they're just
for
locked
sure.
away up there that you can just pull out.
There was one I had that was, Matt, you'll remember this because I called you crying and it was a night. I don't know why I decided to run in the evening and I just could not get this long run done. And I remember I called Nick and I called Matt and I was crying and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm telling you now that session made me who I am because it really taught me a lot about who I am and how I can push through things that are really hard. But to be honest with you, if you get in a session like that, just stop, stand behind a tree and just cry. It's so therapeutic.
Yeah, I've cried on the bike so many times.
Oh, you just got to let it out. And then you feel better. And you're
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm good to go now.
Yeah,
You
good
just
to
keep
go. Yeah, I
going.
can rep out another 10 reps.
Yeah. And that session was, I think it was a 6K block. And I think maybe 5 of them, maybe. Is that one of the sessions?
Something like that, yeah.
It's something like that. It was one of those sessions. And I think I was only probably 2 of the 6K blocks in. And I was crying and I was like, oh, just got to cry, wipe the snot away, push through it, call someone if you need to. I do that. I call Nick sometimes if I'm really struggling. It helps. Call a friend.
I get
Phone a
voice
friend.
notes from Georgia all the time while she's running. But
You
this is
really
fact.
I hate you. Oh, very good. Hopefully that's answered your question.
Yeah, that was a good one. Sarah asked, what was it like working with Sydney Marathon last year? Love that video.
Oh, I love the team at Sydney Marathon. They're such beautiful people. And I'm so grateful that I get to do things like that. I don't know how all that started actually, but I did put it on my vision board last year. I said specifically on my vision board, I said I want to work with Sydney Marathon. Not like I want to do my own videos. It was I want to do something for Sydney Marathon. It was really cool. The team are amazing. They kind of reached out saying, oh, we want to do a video on the course and we know your run last year, which was 2023, was my first marathon. And I'm quite passionate about Sydney Marathon, so it was so easy and so fun to do. We did it in conjunction with ASICS because they're the major sponsor. So yeah, we just kind of got up really early and filmed the different parts all over Sydney, and it was a bit of a team effort. We all kind of bounced ideas off each other. There was a bit of a script, but yeah, it's just fun. It's really fun. I'm very grateful I get to do it. I did one a couple of weeks ago as well. They've got a competition running where you can win tickets to the marathon. They'll fly you all over Australia if you need to. It's with ASICS though, I think that comp, but it's all for Sydney Marathon. So it's nice. It's nice to be able to work with a team that's really fun and they want to work with me, which is nice. So yeah, that's all I can really say.
It's all about fostering relationships too, isn't it? Like,
yes, definitely, definitely. Fostering relationships. I think, you know, I don't ask for anything in return. I've never asked for a free ticket to the marathon. I've never done anything like that. I turn up to the run clubs when I can get to them. I talk to people. I say hi. You know, it is, you know, I share I'm passionate, and I think that comes through. I think if it was disingenuous, it would come through, so they would know that. But it is all about who you talk to. It can be hard if you are one of those kind of people who want to sit back in the corner, but I do get a bit shy sometimes. But I think it's best just to go up, introduce yourself, hi, you know, that kind of thing. But it is building relationships, and I built that relationship over a couple of years. So yeah, that's that.
yeah, you know, it's fun. Like, obviously, I don't have the social media following you have, but I'd say the Ironman community is a lot smaller than the running community, and the amount of DMs I get post an event, someone be like, "I saw you there, but didn't want to come and say hi," and I say to everyone, "Come say hi." Like the more people who want to like share their story with me, who want to talk about it, like all for it. Like I just that, like you said, passion. Like that's I think that comes through in content. Like that's why you get the opportunities, because you're passionate about the thing and you want to share not just your stuff, you want to share other people's stuff. So
yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those things where you do things not expecting anything in return.
Exactly that.
You know,
you just want other people to enjoy it and like have the same experience you have.
Definitely. And the same goes with working with the team at both ASICS and Sydney Marathon. I've never asked for anything in return. I just like to help them out. I like to do the content with them. You know, they have a proper film crew and they edit it all, and it's fun to be a part of, you know. But as I said, I think especially if you're looking to start working with different brands and things like that, I think you never want to expect something, because then anything you do get is a positive. You know, whereas if you start expecting stuff, it's a lot harder. I don't have a huge following by any means. I mean, I'm about to hit 20K on TikTok and 10K on Instagram, but that's taken me a very long time to get to. And that's not a big following at all. There's people out there who do one viral video and they've got 80,000 followers. But everyone I know who follow me, I would hope they're learning something from me and they know that I will answer their questions. And, you know, if I'm out on a run, they can say hi or they can come up to me. So yeah, I love that stuff. That makes my day. I was out running yesterday,
I think
and the girl did that.
I think that's an interesting way that social media is developed, and that's actually made me more interested in social media. Is it is no longer about the person with 1 million followers. It is about the person who has 10,000 followers, but those 10,000 people fucking love them.
Yeah,
you know,
or
3,000 followers or 1,000 followers, and those 1,000 people will die for them because they know, like I said, the content's valuable. They come up and talk to them. They'll answer their questions. Like if someone with 1 million followers put up a question box, you'd be like, I don't even know if it's them answering it. They've probably got a team, like, you know.
Yeah, it's all about kind of building your own community, and I've always said I've always wanting to build a community and talk to my community, and that's why with like the run club that I do with Julie, that's her and I trying to give back to our community. You know, my community is small, but as you said, I feel like everyone knows me. and they know about
Yeah.
me and they feel comfortable asking me uncomfortable questions, and I will always answer them. So yeah, I think, as you said, it's not as much about the million followers, because even brands don't want to really work with people with a million followers because their following isn't that genuine and their following isn't as engaged as someone who's got, 20,000 followers and who can pretty much
Well,
talk to their audience.
speaking from a business owner's perspective, I think when we started working together, you probably didn't have 5,000 followers at the time. Maybe you were just around there,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I think it
And
was,
I was like
yeah.
in and around that number. And
No, that's true. Yeah. Well, I think I hit 10K a year ago yesterday. So I would have been less than that for sure. So,
yeah, and I'm just talking about Instagram. I don't do the TikTok.
oh, the
I'm
TikTok.
not. I don't do the TikTok.
Fuck.
Georgia fucking hates it when I say shit like that.
It's like an old man.
I don't do the
Ah.
TikTok.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Um, I I chose you to be like you were the first sponsored athlete we ever had, and I was like, oh, the engagement's just like it was so high. Like you
Yeah.
might have had, let's just say 5,000 followers, and like every post was heaps of comments, heaps of likes, like, and it was back and forth comments. So I was like, oh, this is just a no brainer. So
Yeah.
for the people out there who, because I'm saying that to line up the next question is Britt said, how do you work with brands? Do they approach you or do you approach them? It's like, if you have a small following, like engagement and being
Yeah.
active in your community
Yeah.
is so much more important than the number at the top.
Definitely. And brands want to see that. I've got friends that work in the industry, so I'm very lucky that I do get a bit of an inside scoop into what I should and shouldn't be doing. To an extent, I mean, obviously they don't tell me anything I'm not allowed to know, but the biggest thing with wanting to work with brands is engaging with your own audience. Because if you're not engaging with your own audience, how are you expected to promote their product? Your audience isn't going to believe you. They're going to be like,
If you go from no posting and then you get given a pair of shoes to talking about the shoes all the time, they're like, oh, you're just a fucking billboard.
yeah, exactly. And it is a fine line between doing too much stuff with brands and not doing stuff at all. But I
For
think
sure.
my biggest tip, if you want to start working with brands, is, I guess, engage with brands you genuinely like. I've never promoted a brand I don't like. I would never expect a brand to reach out to me if I don't wear their product. Like, why would they just be like, oh, here's some random girl on the internet, let's give her like money to promote our product? So I think the best thing you can do is engage with a brand. Make sure you follow all the brands you like check that kind of stuff. They're not going to be like, oh, we're going to give this stuff to this girl who doesn't even follow us. I mean, unless the brand's obviously trying to build their portfolio and build their audience, that's a different story. But 99% of the time, a brand will always contact me. I have my email in my bio. I've had that there forever. But a brand will reach out. I won't work with a brand if they don't say hi, Georgia. If they say hi, Georgia runs a marathon, or they say hi, friend.
Isn't that the worst? You're like, you didn't even fucking try.
I know. I'm like, what in the AI? I'm like, no.
What in the AI?
Like, if you do not say to me, hi, Georgia, I'm sorry, like straight to junk. I don't even, you cannot, I'm not working for you. We're not a right fit because you need to know who I am. But a lot of the time, like brands will reach out. You can reach out to brands. I know there are people out there that do cold email brands saying, hi, I'd love to work with you. I think that's probably a little bit tricky and it can come across as if you're just trying to get free product. Yeah, I was thinking about this today. It's a fine line
I've got a
between,
good response to this too, so I'm interested to hear what you say.
it's a fine line between wanting free product and genuinely wanting to share something with your audience. Especially with paid promotions, I will never share something I don't genuinely like, or that I've used before. Yeah, I think definitely if you want to work with a brand, you can reach out to them, but sometimes it's a bit tricky because the brand's going to probably be like, oh, she just wants free product or they just want free product. But yeah, most of the time the brand will come to me. They'll either message in my DMs or they'll email me. But if you want a brand to start noticing you, you could always start commenting on their posts, sharing their products, buy their products, talk about their products, do videos on your page about you know, like I did one the other week and it was 3 pairs of running shorts that I recommend that don't ride up or don't chafe or whatever, which is a problem for women. And that wasn't paid. I just did that because I wanted my audience to know here's 3 pairs of shorts that I absolutely love. And those brands got, I guess, quote unquote, like free promotion out of that. But that was for my audience, not for the brand. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's
create
mutually
content.
beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. Create content that you would if it was a brand sending you product. You know, if you've gone and done a big order at LSKD, do an unboxing. Be like, here's all the things that I bought. Here's all the things that I'm using at the moment that I love. You know, I did that for heaps of brands before they even reached out to me. And because I genuinely really liked their product, and that showed in my videos. And then that made them contact me. And now I've built this great relationship with quite a few different brands where we work together, and it's nice. I think it's as same as the Sydney Marathon thing. It's really just building relationships with people and not expecting things. I think that's the worst thing you can do is just expect, oh, well, they should give me free product, you know? So, yeah. Matt, what was you said you had an answer for that?
Yeah, I come from 2 different perspectives. One being a business owner and have athletes reach out asking if I'll coach them. Coach them
Really?
for like coach for content. Yeah, like people in the running space all the time.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I've literally got 3 sponsored athletes. One of them is Nick, so he doesn't really count. So, from a business owner's perspective, if people reach out to me in the DMs, the chances of me saying yes are almost zero. If someone had taken the time to write an email and crafted it, and I'm much more likely, at least, to respond. Same as what you said with if someone says, "Hi, Georgia runs a marathon." If someone sends me a DM asking to be a sponsored athlete, I'm just like, sometimes I don't even want to reply to it. I do, but like I don't want to. The other part is that I would say is if you do want to reach out to a brand, and I'm trying to do this at the moment because we're going for a slightly, I mentioned this in another podcast we did. We're trying to do some bigger scale things where we do need like some serious funding behind us. And I have the way and it's been received quite well so far. So it might not be the best way, but it is working for me at the moment. Is I just make a list of all the brands, let's just say like bike brands, and like the brands I want to work with, parts I need, blah 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 blah, and I just pitch them the idea. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is the marketing we're going to do behind it. This is all the places we can promote you. Are you interested in that? I don't even ask them about finances. I don't ask them about product. I don't ask them about anything. I'm like, does this idea excite you? And more often than not, they'll just come back and say yes or no. And if if the idea of what I'm trying to achieve excites that brand, then we work out the particulars. So I would say if you're going to reach out to a brand, just come with all the value you can provide, and just ask them if like, does what I'm trying to do resonate for you? If you're running your first marathon and you want to reach out to a shoe company, like, hey, I'm running this marathon. This is what I'm trying to achieve. This is how I want to market it. This is the content I want to do behind it. And you have an actual plan where a business can see a return on investment, your chances of them even just considering it go up astronomically, because brands get hit up every single day by so many people. So you got to do something that's different. And I just think put all the value out there and be like, does this sound valuable to you, basically? And then see what they say.
Yeah, I mean, they're a business. They've got to work out, is this going to be, as you said, a good return on investment? So you need to go to the brand and say, here's all the things I'm going to do for you. And this is why I'd love to be able to promote your product, or maybe not in those words.
This is how the product can benefit the journey. This is how the product
100%.
Your product fits into this. Like, it's not just, hey, I need shoes.
Yeah, or like I would love your brand to be part of my journey, and I think my audience can really resonate with that. And once you start building a bit of a relationship with a brand, then you can probably ask for more, not in terms of more product or more money or anything like that, but like you could reach out to them more for collabs, or you could be like, hey guys, how's things going? would love to like work on something again together. I think that's obviously down the line once you've built that relationship with the brand. But I think doing
Oh,
little things.
just on that,
Yeah.
the biggest thing, or at least I notice, is like if you get if you do something for someone, constantly be like, hey, is there anything else I can do? Did you like this? Can I change it for you?
Yes.
Like, just like show, even if they don't want anything from you, just showing that you're willing to like pivot to help them out. Like brands, even if the piece of content you put out was a flop, the fact that you're just reaching out and being like, is there anything I can do? Is that like, what did you like? What didn't you like? How can we make it better? Brands love that. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Like little
don't just
add-ons as
ghost them.
well. Don't ghost them. Yeah. I think, and I did that. I remember right at the start when we started working together, I remember saying to you, is like, can you tell me, is this kind of what you were after? Like, I want to make sure
Hmm.
that the expectations are met because the last thing I want is for someone to invest in me and then I'm not giving them what they want.
Yeah. And we have that conversation, what, every 6 months or so, just be like, happy with everything. How can we change it? And we've
Yeah.
only recently, like in the last month, like we won't go into the particulars of it, but like we've rechanged the way we're going to do it moving forward. Again, that's probably
Yeah.
the third or fourth time. Like,
Yeah.
so,
And that's the thing is like when you're working with brands, you want to make sure they're happy as well because the last thing you want is to burn that relationship. And so reaching out like, hey guys, just checking in, making sure that, this last content was kind of what you liked or, for me, even just like little add-ons for a brand. If a brand says, oh, we want you to do one reel and two stories, say, and that's what you're either charging for, or you get free product in return, it is always really good, like a couple of days later, just to like reshare the reel, give them that little bit extra. I'd be like, hey guys, I thought I'd reshare this again. I really liked creating this content. I thought maybe some people might have missed it. And then usually they're like, oh my God, thanks so much. Because some people charge for that. So giving them that
mhm.
little bit extra for free is always really good as well. But
Lead with value, lead with
yeah,
value.
value adding is always really good as well.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we'll do two more because we've just cracked the hour mark. Um, I'm gonna try and pair a couple together. Um, cool. Let's do. This is from Lara and Emily. How do you hydrate on long runs? Do you carry a bottle slash clip to your belt? And then Emily asked, in a training block for a marathon, what does nutrition look like day on a plate? So we can kind of clump them
Sure.
together.
I'll start with the how do I hydrate on a run. So I'm pretty lucky here in Sydney. All the places that I do my long runs usually have water fountains. Centennial has one every kilometer, pretty much. So I just stop and have that. If I'm having electrolytes, though, we will almost always drive to the park and leave water bottles on our car or kind of under our car in the shade with electrolytes in it. And I'll stop and have a really big drink of that. If I'm running in the city, depends on where I'm running. There are water fountains along the harbour, so I use those. Otherwise, if there's a place where there's no water, I will take my Salomon vest and I'll have one water bottle with water and one water bottle with hydration. And then if I kind of go through all of my water and my hydration, like my hydrolyte kind of stuff, I'll take like a sachet of Hyro with me and you can just rip the sachet open and put the electrolytes in the little flask as well. So yeah, but um, that's kind of how I hide. How do you hydrate on a run? Do
I
you?
just set up an aid station with my car.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So Matt's
yeah, and I just
running.
do 3K loop, 5K loop, whatever it is, and then yeah, I
Yeah,
just do that.
perfect. The
Um,
same as Centennial. It's like you set up a little
yep.
aid station at your car. So I'll usually, if I'm just running loops of Centennial, I will leave gels and water and all that kind of stuff on my car in the shade, kind
Yeah.
of.
If it's a super hot day, I'll have the aid station set up. Plus, I'll take hand flasks, and then like I'll just take the flask on the 5K loop, and
Hmm.
then just sip on that. And then when I get to back to the car, I'll either fill up the hand flask or like have a bigger drink. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I do.
There's a good example of this is I was speaking to my sister-in-law Sally the other day, and she was like, "Oh, I'm really struggling. I don't like drinking on runs, and there's no water fountains where I run." And I was like, "Okay, well, what you can actually get is I know on different brands have different ones, but I know LSKD have these, and you can buy little mini soft flasks. So similar to what I would put in my Salomon vest. My ones are 500 ml. These ones can be
250,
250 usually. And you can just hold on to them or tuck them into your pocket. If you wear bike shorts, they fit perfectly in bike shorts, and you just sip on it as you run. But that can be a really good way to get your hydration in as well. Then the next question was day on a plate.
Day on a plate in marathon block.
To be honest, guys, I don't know. It's a bit tricky because I'm me, you are you. We all have very different needs and what we should eat. I think it is a bit of a hard place to be suggesting what to eat. I think, as we've said, we're going to get a nutritionist on to talk. It is, I don't want to get into that space.
Dietitian, but yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant, a dietitian.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that space where I'm kind of saying to someone, this is what I eat and this is what you should be eating. I will try to answer this as vague as I can. So I'm not suggesting this is what you should do. But for me, if I've got a run in the morning, I will either have, depending on how long the run is, I have a big couple of teaspoons of honey for my carbs, or I have a bagel. Then, so at the moment, like this morning, I had a bagel, peanut butter, smooth, sucked in, a bit of salt. If I want extra, I'll add honey and a banana. During the day, I snack on some like either jerky or fruit. So protein. Lunch, I usually will have salad with chicken and boiled eggs in it. That I love, super high in protein. And then dinner is just, I don't know, it's pasta or a curry, or, it's hard. It's like everyone eats so differently. Everyone has different foods in their house that they like to eat. But if I've got a long run the next day, I eat a big pasta. I always eat pasta before a long run. But yeah, like, I don't know, it's hard. I don't want to tell you what to eat because it's one of those things, especially with women. It can be hard to get caught up in that whole, what do you eat? What, like, oh, this is what I should be eating. Like, yeah. I don't know how else to answer it.
Yeah, I literally just did I had a nutrition consult with an athlete today, and we've been trying to work on like different frameworks for nutrition, and like I do, and George will know this, I put a lot of effort, especially into my female clients, when it comes to eating, because like it's difficult for a lot of you, and I just like the easiest way I think to structure it is assuming you're eating enough protein and fats just like in your day-to-day diet. The only thing you need to think about is carbohydrates. So anything over 60 minutes, add an additional 30 grams of carbohydrates, you'll be fine. Anything over 90 minutes, add 60, and anything over 2 hours, add 90 to 100 grams of carbohydrates. And that's the only number you need to change is carbohydrates. Everything else can stay the same. So maybe that's like a little bit more specific without being specific. Like you can still eat the foods you like, but carbohydrates just dictate performance.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's the same for men, but I know for women, we all, read different magazines that were quite toxic growing up, and we were always drummed into us like, oh, I don't have carbs because it's going to make me skinny or whatever it is. And I like, for sure, there's been so many times in my life that I've been like, oh, I feel fat, I'm going to stop eating carbs for a week. And then you feel like absolute crap. And if you want to be an endurance runner, you've got to kind of get used to carbs are your friends, and they're not bad. They're not going to make you fat. They're helping you. They're helping fuel your runs. So, pretty much every meal I will have some sort of carbohydrate. If it's a bagel for breakfast, if it's my salad with a slice of toast, if it's potatoes at dinner, pasta at dinner, don't be afraid of carbs. It's, it's fueling you. So, yeah.
Literally. And just like the only reason anyone loses weight by cutting out carbohydrates, or there's two reasons. One, for every gram of carbohydrates, you hold 4 grams of water. So if you pull 100 grams of carbohydrates out of your diet, you'll literally lose half a kilo like that.
Yeah.
But it's just water. And I had a mental blank on the second one. So there's that.
There's that. So,
look, guys,
yeah, take it with a grain, pun intended, take it with a grain of salt. Don't get too caught up in what other people are eating. Find what works for you. Find what makes your stomach feel good on a run. Find what makes you not feel insanely hungry all day. Like sometimes I'll have eggs for breakfast because then I know I'm going to feel really like full until lunch. And then, I've found adding in a bit of extra protein in than what I would normally have has really helped me lately. So, yeah, do
And
what works for you.
I'll just add one last thing. And for someone, I'm someone who taught myself a lot about nutrition and thought like I had a pretty good idea of like how to fuel and stuff like that. I now
Yeah.
work with a sports dietitian. I'm very lucky that my sports dietitian actually sponsors me, so I will get to work with her every week. But I initially made the investment in going to see a sports dietitian. I saw multiple sports dietitians, and if you're really struggling, you just don't know where to start, and like all the generic advice is good. A couple $100 you can sit down with a dietitian for an hour, and they will walk you through everything and create like a template for you. So like
Oh, I was gonna say, do you
it's
recommend that?
definitely worth, yeah, it's definitely worth the investment if it's something you're really struggling with and you've tried the different things.
Yeah.
um yeah, and just to have someone there, if you're like, should I be eating, just basic question, should I be eating carbs? Yes, and here's why. Or you don't need as many carbohydrates for this run, and here's why. Like, and majority of dietitians, specifically sports dietitians now, they do like a psychiatric, I don't know if it's actually psychiatric, but like a mental side of it, dealing with people with eating disorders or
Yeah.
overcoming things that they've read in like the magazines and stuff like that. So if it is something you struggle with, like they are equipped to help you, give you the tools to overcome that.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and it's nice to know that it is worth it. I guess, do you think it'd be worth it for someone who's just like rec running, or do you think it's probably something you want to invest in when you start doing marathon training?
Um, I think okay. Define rec running for me. Like, are we just talking like an hour every other day, or
Yeah, like
doing
someone
run
who just
club once a
like
week? Or...
someone who maybe does run club once a week, who might go on maybe two other runs on their own, like 5K here and there.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's not something I'd worry about. I'd be more just concentrating on day to day nutrition.
Yeah.
Like anything under an hour, the glycogen demands are so minimal. You can just replace like just with your next meal or a bottle of
S-
Gatorade, and
So
you're sorted.
forgive me though, for I don't
Mm.
know if this is something that's kind of obvious. A sports dietitian, do you usually work with them because they will help you plan what to eat during a training block? Are they saying like you need to go and like have, I don't know, a bagel with banana and this every day before a run, you need to have this after your run, have this for lunch. Like, is that what they do, or are they just saying kind of here's a meal plan? I don't.
No,
I've never worked with one, so I don't know.
yeah, I'll tell you how Lauren and I work. So like I said, I'm very fortunate. Like Lauren and I catch up every fortnight, and we're like constantly texting, just like to make sure everything's on track. But um, at the start of a training block, so let's just call it my 100-day build to an Ironman. We'll set some goals and be like, cool. So my goal is to get from, I was like 86, 87 kilos. I want to be 78 kilos come race day. Um, so we'll set, so obviously my goal is to lose about 8 kilos.
Yeah.
We'll then look at the training for the next month, and we'll come up with a system of green, yellow, and red days. Green being a pretty chill aerobic day, so like just a zone 2 session, maybe a strength session. Yellow might be like a tempo day where it's a little bit of intensity, but it's not crazy. Red would be like Ironman specific, 6 hour bike ride, hard swim, hard run, like whatever it is. And she will write me a meal plan for, or suggested meal plan for those days, as well as suggested macronutrient targets for each
Okay.
meal. So she'd be
Yeah.
like, hey, if you're going to do this run first thing in the morning, you need 100 grams of carbs an hour before you
Okay.
go and run. And then she'll give me like examples of what that 100 grams of carbs look like, just as a
Oh,
very
I was
vague.
gonna say, do you like weigh the carb? Like, how do you know, or you just
I
kind of
try,
know now?
because I'm because I'm me. I track everything and I put everything on a scale and my
Yeah,
fitness
you do.
pal. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do, yeah, but you do not need to do that. Like
No, no, no.
you can get meal plans that is like tablespoon of honey, you know, teaspoon of peanut butter, one
Yeah, like
banana. Like it doesn't need to
fistful
be
of
80.
chicken.
Yeah, fistful of chicken. Yeah. 80, it doesn't need to be 83.2 grams of
Yeah,
chicken
yeah.
with, yeah, yeah. So,
Okay. Very good. I love that.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Cool.
But all different dietitians have different ways of working. I've worked with a few now, and all of them have been very, very good. You
Yep.
just need it's like same for coach. You just need to find the one that works right for you.
Yeah, for sure. And understands
Yeah,
like you and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah. But to
Cool.
answer the original question, I'd say once or just you asked and you said rec runners. I'd say a rec runner doesn't need to worry about it. I
Yep.
would say once you sort of consistently running over 90 minutes, like that's like if you're going for a run, there's not a lot of change out of 90 minutes. You should probably start to think about changing your nutrition. You might be able to handle that yourself, or that's when I would start to dabble with like some form of professional help.
Yeah. And just to go back to the original question, I'm just going to sum that up a little bit. I think if I'm in a training block, you don't be scared to snack a lot. I think when you're doing a lot of running and you're out, you're burning energy all the time, you will snack a lot. So just find things that are like good snacks, whether that be jerky or whether that be fruit and veg, or like fruit has a ton of carbs in it. So that's a good way to get your carbohydrates up. Yeah, I just not making myself feel hungry all the time, because if I'm hungry, then I'm tired and then I'm not going to have energy to run. So whether, making sure you get your breakfast in and don't be afraid to have carbs before a run, and having a really good, healthy lunch that's, I've just blanked on what it's called, where it's, the food volume is really high, you know?
Satiating.
Yeah. So, like I have this big salad at work. It's huge, but it's got like a whole chicken breast shredded up in it. It's got an egg in it. The food volume is really high, and that keeps me satiated. Is that the
Yeah,
word?
yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling full.
That keeps me feeling full for longer. And then I have a big dinner. So, yeah. That's probably why
Yeah,
I don't lose weight when I do a marathon block, is that
yeah. And that was
I'm
the
eating
last thing.
well.
The last thing I wanted to touch on with that is especially for the girls, like if your weight is fluctuating pretty hectic, like multiple kilos throughout the week, um, I would really, really encourage you to then see like a sports dietitian or even a nutritionist just to give you a baseline.
Yeah.
Because one thing I check with all of my, especially my female clients, and I know a large portion of our listeners are female, um, is I don't want them losing like weight during a marathon block, even a
No.
half marathon block. Like indication of a really, really strong block is, we'll use Georgia as the example, her to
Yep.
be able to do a 60K run week, 70K run week, and her weight hasn't changed since when she was doing 10Ks at the start of the block. But you can see in her content, you can see like her shoulders are leaning out. You can see she's leaner, but her weight has stayed the same.
Yeah.
So that's like a really, really strong indicator for me as a coach. Like I do not want my athletes losing weight during a block.
Oh gosh, no. I remember the first time when I first signed up for Sydney Marathon, my first ever marathon. I did a before video being like, I'm gonna get shredded. I'm gonna be so thin. I'm gonna lose all this weight. And I put on weight. I put on like 3 kilos. It was great. I
Yeah,
was like,
it's
oh, but my body
it's
looked different. I looked
yeah,
so different.
it's actually extremely difficult and dangerous to lose
Yeah.
weight during an endurance block because of the risk of stress fractures, injury stuff. That's
Yeah.
like, I know I just said like I'm trying to lose 8 kilos during an Ironman block, but like that's something we have planned for months in advance to prepare my body to do
Yeah.
it during this 12 weeks. Like it's not something we just went, I just happen to lose 8 kilos. Like
No, no, no.
that,
You're doing it
if I did
safely.
that, like yeah, shit would be breaking.
Very good. All right. Is
Very
that
good.
we
Shit would be breaking. Very good.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Whoa. Did you have one more question or was that it?
We can do one more. That'll take us to a 90-minute episode, our longest
I
one
know,
yet.
guys. This is a good long run.
Yeah. Uh, okay, this is a cool one. Running my first full marathon in Noosa in May. Any extra tips or tricks, please?
Oh, I love that. Congrats on signing up. That's so exciting. That's not far away at all. What was it? Tips or tricks for your first marathon?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm going to think back on my first ever marathon, things that I wish I knew. I think the biggest thing you can do is really nail your fueling and learn how to run and have a gel. If I'm, as I said before, I'm walking my sister-in-law through this at the moment, teaching her how to have her gels and stuff on long runs, and she started practicing with it. So learning how to have your gels, learning how to run and drink out of a paper cup. That is something you wouldn't normally do. The pinch test or the pinch trick, sorry, that's a big one. But like we touched on before, I think the biggest thing is learning how to sit in that place of pain
Sit
because
in the
it's
pocket.
yeah, it's not you're not going to enjoy the whole run. And I think if you go in thinking you're going to have the best time and you're going to feel really great the entire time, you're probably going to get a rude shock. And I did for my first one. I was like, I'm never doing this again. But I think if you learn how to enjoy the pain and kind of push through it, you'll be okay. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of things for your first marathon. What would you suggest, Matt?
I just looked it up. It's the 24th of May, so you've still got like 2 months, basically. So I would say the next 6 weeks, I'd just be. We spoke about this maybe last episode, the episode before, is sitting in that pocket of that 28 to 32 kilometers, even up to 35. I would spend the next 6 weeks just living in that world. Like every long run, like just minimum is 28, and then your peak week 34, 35, 36, something like that. If you're doing paces, then yes, do your paces. But um, yeah, I just encourage you to be comfortable in that world because the other big one's nutrition, but you said nutrition.
Yeah,
Um,
and we've touched on that in the last couple of episodes. I think if,
yeah,
you're kind of wanting to know that sort of stuff, you can definitely jump back and listen to those
for sure.
episodes. I think they'd be really helpful.
Race
Um,
day routine, that'd be the big one. The one
yeah,
I probably
yep,
haven't touched on. I get everyone to do this 6, 8 weeks out. Um, Saturday night looks the same. Sunday morning looks the same.
yeah,
Like, wear the same clothes. Same breakfast. Run at the same time. Nothing new on race day. Like so, I
yeah,
would just be practicing that over and over and over again. So that would be
yeah,
my yeah.
definitely. And practice to the point where you're actually getting up at the time you would be getting up for race
Yep.
day. So if your start time is 8:30, making sure, okay, it's going to take me
Up
an
at
hour.
5, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
How long is it going to take you to get there? Right. At what point do you need to eat breakfast? At what point do you need to have your caffeine? When you're getting there, are you having a gel before your race just to kind of top up your carbs? So practicing that. All right. Pretend you're at your race. Wear the clothes you're going to wear. Get all of that used to that. Wear the shoes you're going to wear. As Matt said, nothing new on race day, but because you might not know what that is. It might take you a couple of goes to work out what works for you, but make sure you're practicing those things beforehand because you don't want to work that out on the day.
That's what, yeah, that's why you practice it week in, week out. Because it's like what we said last week with the routine. You refine it, you refine it. Like
Yep.
I had caffeine too early. I'm going to have it a bit later. I had too much caffeine. Like all the things. So
Yeah.
just practice that. And the most important one, Georgia, the whole reason we do this podcast, you've got to have fun. That's the most
Yes,
important thing.
of
Enjoy it
course.
because you only get one
Enjoy
first
it.
marathon.
Yes, you do. And if you can get your friends and family to come and watch and be excited to see them and
Keep an eye out for
really,
photographers.
yeah.
You don't want photos like Mel and Taylor. Sorry, Mel and Taylor.
You want good photos. Trust me, I have nailed finding the photographers. Don't you worry. And your form will instantly improve the minute you see a photographer.
Oh,
So,
everyone at Ironman, if they rode the bike the way that their photos looked, everyone would be an hour quicker. 100%. Everyone's got perfect technique. Yeah, I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean.
exactly. So, enjoy it. Try to, it's what Matt said, it's like 6 weeks away. I used to think when I was out running, I used to imagine myself crossing the finish line and I'd get like all
Visualize it. Yeah.
yeah, I get all goosebumpy and I'd start getting a bit
Yeah.
emotional thinking about my family cheering me on. And, as Matt said, you only get one first marathon, so enjoy every moment of it. And that way you can remember it. Get a photo of yourself at the start line. I did that. I look back at it now and I'm like, oh my God, that girl is shitting herself.
And fuel early. Fuel and hydrate early. Don't wait
Yes.
till you're hungry or thirsty because then it is too late.
Yes, definitely. That's a good one. Good one to finish on.
That's
And
it.
that's pretty much, I think, look, we're at an hour and 29 minutes, which is amazing. But I was going to say, just
It's
make sure if you are listening to this on Spotify, please follow us, like us, hit that heart button. It's really helpful
Share
for
it with a
us.
friend. Send it to someone who else runs.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really helps us and helps us to keep making these episodes for you guys and answer all your questions. And, it helps Matt as well, helps him continue what he's doing and all of that. So, yeah, like, subscribe, do all those things. Follow us on Instagram at beyondthefinishline_pod.
Check us
So,
out on
yeah,
YouTube if that is the way you like to listen to podcasts. If you're like me,
please
but
don't. I look terrible.
they're gonna see the reels. What are you talking about?
I know, I know. I wore pink for you guys today. Nice and bright. All right, very good. Have a wonderful week, guys. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Ro.
Bye.